You saw that Escanaba had been
Yeah.
destroyed. Were you at that time? Were you headed back to Canada? What happened there?
Why? How it sunk?
No. Basically once you realized the Escanaba had been destroyed.
Yes.
And you were at that time. Was you headed back? Were you headed back to Canada? To your base?
Yeah, we were back to our base.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. What happened then? What happened once you got back to base?
Well, you just accept it. You know, it happened. It happened. What are you going to do?
Right.
And just hoping it isn't me the next time.
Right.
But outside of that, I got sleep. You know,
Okay.
I had no trouble sleeping.
Okay.
But I always slept with my clothes on, my shoes, right?
Yeah, stay ready, so to
Yeah.
speak. Yeah. How are you let's say communicating with your family back home? How was that going? Did you communicate with your family back home?
Yes, by letters. Yes,
Okay.
I write letters, but
Okay.
you couldn't. Your letters were censored, so really, there wasn't anything you could say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the only advantage they got a letter, they knew you were still alive. You know,
Sure,
but,
sure. Okay.
But you couldn't say anything.
Mhm.
Everything was.
Okay. All right. And what did you go to then? After you gotten back to Canada, and did you? I think you mentioned what was your next assignment? As far as what was the ship's next assignment?
Oh, yeah. Well, after the Dorchester, we went back up to Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and then we continued the convoy ships to Greenland.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Then shortly after that, then we went to Boston,
Oh, okay.
and I had my stomach was bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we got to Boston, they sent me to the hospital. Here I had ulcers.
Oh, okay.
So
Mhm.
I wasn't fit for sea duty, you know, on the ship, there's no doctor.
Sure.
So there was a fellow on the ship, he was an enlisted man at one time, and he became an officer. He went to officer school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And when they told me I couldn't go to sea again, I went to what they call a receiving station, you know, where you wait to be transferred. And I run into him, and he says, "Where do you want to go?"
Oh, okay.
I says, "Detroit."
Okay.
You know, he said, "You could get discharged." I said, "No, I want to stay in."
Mhm.
So, no, he said Cleveland. That
Okay.
was it.
Mhm.
That's the best I can get to. So I went to Cleveland, and I ran into an officer that had been on our ship.
Mhm.
And he says, "You're from Detroit?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll come back in a day or two and I'll see what I can do."
Oh, okay.
So I come back, he says, "They're going to Detroit."
Oh, okay.
So I got to Detroit, and I went down on the Detroit River,
Mhm.
and I sat around there for about 2 weeks,
Mhm.
doing nothing. And then they Coast Guard patrolled the border there, and there was trucks coming in. They put me in charge of gasoline,
Okay.
and I had a fellow that took all the information when the trucks come in and the boats.
Mhm. Mhm.
And let's see, I had an incident happen there. It's just a funny thing that happened. They had 2 prisoners.
Mhm.
They had a little jail there.
Mhm.
And the man that took care of the prisoners, one night he went out and he got drunk, and he came back and he brought a 5th of whiskey and opened up and let the prisoners drink the whiskey.
Mhm.
Prisoners locked him in, and they took off.
Oh.
When I come down, I looked, and here's the fellow supposed to be in charge of the jail, the brig. He's in the brig, and the prisoners are gone.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah. So then, shortly after that, they discharged me,
Oh, okay.
and I found out that